Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Sacramento Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Juntos with Cathy. I'm Cathy Rodriguez, the president and CEO at the Sacramento Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And every Thursday, we have a conversation with a local leader, community organizer, one of our partners, to find out a little bit more about what they're doing and how we're working with them. And this week, I'm very excited because it's actually one of my very good friends who is over at Paso Boulevard Partnership, the executive director, Daniel Savala. So we're going to have a really good conversation and find out what's happening over there. Hi, Daniel.
Hey, Kathy, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Happy to be here. I'm a big fan of the program. I try to tune in as many times as I can when I see them.
Thank you. That makes me feel good. Yeah, we're trying to do this growing fan base. I have this whole goal of having like a huge sponsor, preferably someone that does hair and makeup to really get us prepared. So, yes.
Yeah.
So, but as I share with everyone, Daniel, you and I have been friends for a really long time, and I'm really thrilled to see you in this position over at Paso Boulevard. I'm leading the partnership there because I think that you're one of the people that really knows the area well, knows your businesses, and have a really good background in economic development. And I want to be able to share that with everyone. So tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be the executive director there at the Del Paso Boulevard Partnership.
Yeah, it's like a dream. It's like a dream job, dream opportunity for someone like me. So a lot of people who know me, or maybe if you don't know, so I'm born and raised in Sacramento, raised in the South Sacramento area, there, Franklin Boulevard, Fruit Ridge, Stockton. So I always kind of thought that Fruit Ridge and Stockton would be like the place I'd want to change one day, and I still do. But when I came back, so I went to college and I became an urban planner and just got really involved and fell in love with this idea around transforming neighborhoods and helping shape the built environment. And coming home from college, coming to Sacramento, um, I by chance had an opportunity to work for council member Alan Warren, who was the previous council member for North Sacramento, and decided to move into the district and moved here in the Del Paso Boulevard area. And through that experience, you just, one, you fall in love with the people who live here in this community. And then you also build a relationship with business owners. And over the years of those relationships, you really form a real firm understanding of kind of what the struggles are and what the future holds for business owners and kind of what the advocacy looks like. And so when the opportunity came to join the Del Paso Boulevard Partnership as their executive director, I was just over the moon because what a great opportunity. So it just by chance, having dedicated so much of my time to the people in this area, I just kind of naturally kind of lend my expertise and my passion to the business corridor. So here I am.
Well, that's so great. I know that you're the perfect fit, for this position there. There at El Paso, there is, I think you hit it best. Like there's, some really great people that have been part, advocates and activists, for the area for so long. Small businesses that have really, made it through a couple of recessions and are recovering through the pandemic right now. And there's a lot of history there too. I think right before everyone joined us, I was asking you this past week, there was actually a dedication to a statue that you have there, which you were telling me was actually the first Derby winner, Kentucky Derby winner. This horse was there. And so what a lot of people don't realize is that this horse was actually from here in the North Sacramento. And I think it's just a really cool story. And I think will lend itself when we talk a little bit about, the opportunities for economic investment there. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about, the horse and this whole dedication you guys had?
Yeah, so the horse, if you missed it, was on May 5th, which is, the first Saturday in May, as we all know, is the Kentucky Derby, in addition to it being Cinco de Mayo this year. But the Kentucky Derby has so much significance here in North Sacramento because the horse that we celebrated is named Ben Ali, who was the first horse from California to win the Kentucky Derby. That horse was born and bred here on a farm in North Sacramento. North Sacramento being the old Rancho Del Paso land, the old James Hagan thoroughbred horse racing facility. So lots of history with horse racing, thoroughbred horse racing in Sacramento. So it was just kind of a neat nod to the rich history that's here in North Sacramento, and people maybe drive past it every day and maybe didn't know why, or why they're called the Grant Pacers, or why you see Frienza and Ben Ali as streets in this community. So at best, it's just an opportunity to teach someone about how cool, what kind of cool history is in their neighborhood. So I hope it paid off.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of us were like, "What's going on?" And so I was really interested in the backstory. And you know what? I hope you'll be okay with this. I want to give a shout out to our mutual friend Mina Perez, who actually
Yeah,
created,
yeah,
the rose. This is the
she
win
did.
around the horse, which
Yeah,
is actually what intrigued me to begin with. So
yeah,
there's just so much history there, and there's more that's happened though, right? So there was all this stuff that was going on in Del Paso, and vibrant community, lots going on, and then you as an urban planner,
yeah.
tell me what happened when they put the freeway in. Like, how did that affect what was going on there in Del Paso?
Yeah, it's really crazy because when I was in college, I remember watching a video, and not so much about Del Paso Boulevard, but about the city of Sacramento in general. One of the biggest mistakes they ever made was disconnecting their city from the biggest amenity they had is the Sacramento River, the
Mm-hmm.
American Sacramento River. So you have the five that now separates the city from what would be a vibrant um,
Yeah.
I don't know, another part of our city, like where old Sacramento is. So getting in that frame of mind of what big infrastructure decision or land use decisions really shape where people go and how cities start to develop. You look at Highway 160, and also you look at the Arden Garden Connector. The Highway 160 is thought to be one of the leading causes of how you diverted people from Del Paso Boulevard, which was part of historic Route 40.
Mm-hmm.
So that was had a huge impact on the economic development and the outlook of what happens here on Del Paso Boulevard. So a lot of people point to those two instances where you start to see a decline, where you don't have a lot of vehicle traffic coming along Del Paso Boulevard. Del Paso
Mm-hmm.
Boulevard was home to one of the very first traffic lights in the region. It had vibrant
Yeah.
strip mall. It was a vibrant strip mall. It had two movie theaters, an ice skating rink, a roller rink, a bowling alley. It was everything that a small city like North Sacramento needed it to be. And over the years, it's gone through some challenges. One of the most interesting things about it, though, it's one of the last, what I would call like your street level retail pedestrian corridors in the entire
Mm-hmm.
city. You won't find many corridors like Del Paso Boulevard where you have walkable sidewalks and
Yeah.
storefronts right there on the zero lot line. Not those other kind of Euclidean corridors where you have these corner setback, big parking lot in your strip mall. Nothing
Yeah.
against those type of developments, but it's important to know that because of what that is today, it lends itself to a whole set of problems that we have, which is housing density or lack thereof housing density. So how does a corridor like this, if you're a retail corridor or a destination entertainment venue, like think of our street, where you have these nice sidewalks with these beautiful buildings and shops and cafes, but what surrounds our street is lots of housing density, lots of office space. We have lots of people.
That's true.
On Del Paso Boulevard, it's not so much. You have these great bones, you have these shops, but you don't have the housing density, the foot traffic, or the big office space that really lends a customer base to those. So we're in the middle of understanding that struggle and how we get out of that, and how
Mm-hmm.
we kind of tee up Del Paso Boulevard. So in the future, we see more intense housing development, perhaps one or two major employers come to the area that would serve some of the small businesses. So lots going on, lots to think about though.
So there's actually what you're saying. There's a lot of opportunity right now because
Oh
this is the
yeah,
time when we talk about in the city of Sacramento this inclusive economy, making sure that
yeah,
we are elevating everyone. There's a lot.
correct.
We've had this pandemic, but the reality is there's also this influx of dollars coming in that could really,
Yeah,
especially for all our diverse corridors, invested well, could really make a huge impact, right? If this investment is done, we're intentional about it and what it looks like. So for you, and the neighborhood and everyone's there, what would that intentionality be for you? Like right now, looking at funds, we're looking at the budgets. What's the type of
right,
investment that would really help, this area? Because we now know there's some things that are already there, right? We've got these highways, we know there's there, but there's,
right.
you just said there's this rich history. There is this walkability, everything like the bones are there. So what is it
Right.
that we need to kind of complete that?
I really think in talking to my board and talking to other small business owners, and I'll preface this with saying that we are a business improvement corridor, and so our focus
Mm-hmm.
is mostly on businesses. But without a strong customer base, without people living here and patronize the businesses, we continue to kind of do the same thing and wait. and wait for something bigger to come.
Yeah.
I think housing density is what's going to really put us over the edge. We are launching a 505 initiative in the next couple of weeks that's going to allow the partnership and some of other community-based organizations to start asking the city, our city leaders and our state leaders, to really make a commitment to
Mhm.
500 units along Del Paso Boulevard in the next 5 years. We can do it. The previous council member and the council persons before them have all made strategic investments in infrastructure and kind of setting up. You have, council member Rob Kurth, Councilwoman Sandy Sheedy, council member
Mhm.
Alan Warren, slowly starting to put the pieces together. Councilwoman Sheedy gave us this tremendous gift and these beautiful new sidewalks that we have. We've got even down to Mayor Steinberg, the offer of SB 375, who's the statewide legislation that kind of puts us in this place where we can build housing near light rail. We have a transit overlay zone here that has all kinds of housing incentives or incentives for building housing around light rail.
Mhm.
All throughout Del Paso Boulevard are vacant parcels that are owned by government, owned by regional transit, or owned by the city of Sacramento. Many of them, which were just deemed surplus last week by the city council. So, continuing down that path of slowly getting us there, we're at a
Mhm.
point where last year there was an infrastructure study being done along Del Paso Boulevard, and now you have some affordable housing dollars coming down the pipeline. You have land available. We're in a position now where we're going to see probably I'm expecting the largest investment in our city's history,
Yeah.
in places like Del Paso Boulevard, Franklin, and Mack Road, in these underserved corridors. If it doesn't happen, that'll just be a complete tragedy, because this economy, from all I can see, is really roaring right now. You've got a lot of money coming into the city of Sacramento, and we are here just chomping at the bit to get our piece here for North Sacramento, for Del Paso Boulevard.
Yeah, and that completely makes sense. That we look at that now for exactly what you said. We've got this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Again, all the things we've been through the pandemic, especially our small businesses.
Yeah.
It has not been easy by any means, but there is this opportunity now with funding coming in that could really change the gamut to make it even stronger than it was before pandemic. Yeah. Isn't that what we're all looking at? So from your small businesses that are part of the PBID that you serve and maybe the surrounding area, talk about foot traffic and bringing more in there. But what else is there that they're really looking for? That they're like an ideal world. This is what we really need to make sure that we thrive.
Sure, the public safety element. We couldn't. This is going to be every corridor, even folks in their neighborhood right now. We live in a state here in California, and even just a political climate right now with local law enforcement. You have two sides. You have one side that's asking to defund the police. You have another side who the police aren't coming out quick enough for some of these calls. And right now, one of the biggest struggles we have due to whether it be propositions like Prop 47, Prop 36, and just staffing levels historically here in the city of Sacramento, is you have these what I call lifestyle issues, these lifestyle crimes, or these small business issues that, right now, unfortunately, law enforcement just either don't have the legal authority to do something about it anymore, or don't have the staff to respond to some of these calls. And we are trying to be squeaky wheel. We're trying to find a way I think we need a dedicated problem-oriented policing program for places like Del Paso Boulevard, because we can't continue to let guys, barbecue on the street and pass around a bottle of Patron. That's a bad look for us, but it happens.
Yeah.
And we were asking our law enforcement partners to do something about it. And it's a struggle. It's a constant struggle. So we'd like to see a focused, problem-oriented policing program along Del Paso Boulevard, perhaps an off-duty program here on Del Paso Boulevard, because our private security company does the best they can, but they've got one hand, sometimes two hands tied behind their back. And so we're looking for new solutions to deliver for our property owners. As a small business owner, when you have someone causing trouble at your store, calling 911. If you're, a couple years ago, my house was broken into, and I can't even call 911, right? They're just not going to respond to these small, low priority calls. And so that's something that we all deal with in the city of Sacramento. But for the businesses, it's just one more challenge that we have to deal with here in Del Paso
Yeah.
Boulevard. So we're working on it. I mean, as tough as it is, right? We have to find a better way to support local law enforcement so they can come out here and respond to some of these challenges. You know, we've had 2 homicides in the last 6 months in the Del Paso Boulevard area, and for the most part, we can see them coming. We see the activity. We see what's going on. Our law enforcement here in North Sacramento are doing a great job. They're out there doing some proactive patrols and getting some things done. But for the sake of our small businesses, we need more proactive patrols out here.
So, when it comes to public safety, you're right. That is actually that's something that's come up as a common theme when I talk to other, business PBIDs and business owners, and this challenge. But that's happening. You're right. We're in a part right now where, like everything, it's unfortunate, right? There's like just two sides for everything instead of trying to figure out here in the middle how we work. And when I speak to our law enforcement, they people are surprised to hear, but just like everyone else, they're understaffed, and there's a lot, of more calls coming in. And, and I know a lot of them, you really do want that additional help of having people that are there that can deal with the mental health issues and, have wraparound services. Like they would like that too. And I don't know if that's always a message that's heard there, but do you feel that, especially where you're at, it is a tight knit community too. So do you see a way where there's going to be some sort of, working across each other to try to, figure out a solution? Because when you talk about that, the problem-oriented solution, but it can't be just one side or the other.
Right. No, absolutely. And like to tone it down a little bit, right? Because they don't want to get, I don't want to go get one too far to on the extreme, but we've been doing it here in North Sacramento. We've got some great community leaders. We've had some dedicated captains here in North Sacramento who have been, Captain Pam Seifert, I could think of, Captain Stephen Oliveira, who are very responsive and they understand what the needs are. But a lot of times it's above them. Sometimes it's the council, it's the state, it's staffing. That it's always been an issue since we've climbed out of our last recession. So, but we're there. I mean, I communicate with our local captains regularly. We have captains who are attending community meetings. We have a tremendous program with brother to brother and sister to sister in Del Paso Heights that meet regularly with law enforcement. My good friend of mine, Mervyn Brookins in Del Paso Heights, regularly meets with folks coming out of prison, coming out of jail, and reconnecting them with opportunities in Del Paso Heights. But making law enforcement part of that piece, you know what I mean? We have an office right here next to our office, the probation department. We have partners here in North Sacramento who work directly with them. We know about recidivism rates. We know folks are re-entering North Sacramento. We want to make them, we want them to come home, right? But we also need, folks to participate in a program and do that. So we have a lot of things that work out here. I think people should take notice of what Del Paso Heights has done over the years. There's a way through this.
Perfect. That's good to hear. And I know there are a lot of great, community leaders out there that are doing the work. So I'm glad you had an opportunity to share what they're doing out there. And, but let's delve a little bit into your businesses, some of the, fun stuff there. You've got some businesses that have been there a really long time. Do you want to share, a couple of them that you want to share a little story about them? I know you're close to some of them out there and kind of know like how they started or the people that go see them. A lot of them are anchors within the community. But are there a couple that kind of, rise to the top that you are like, when I think of, Del Paso Boulevard Partnership, I think of these, businesses?
Oh man, there's a couple of them. It's just hard to pick. Off the top of my head, I gotta say, Uptown Fitness. That's an old gym on Del Paso Boulevard. That's probably I'm gonna have to ask Rob Kurth about this, but it may be the oldest business that still has like the same. It used to be Ferrera Fitness and Uptown Fitness, but this is like an old school gym. Like if you see some photos of it, it's like dumbbells, nothing, nothing like fancy or like what's pretentious about it. It's just an old school gritty gym, and it got just some of the neatest people there. Robert Valenzuela, the owner, is just a wealth of information. He'd help anybody off the street with advice on nutrition, on workouts. But it's guys like Robert who just are positive through everything, through COVID, has just found a way to remain positive, find a way to still train and still draw an income, and is patiently waiting for 100 new neighbors, 50 new neighbors who want to be fit, who care about their mental health and their well-being and want to come into the gym. And so I like to tell Robert all the time that we're just around the corner. I think he's slowly taking getting some additional help from some of the resources through COVID, getting him on social media, getting him to embrace some of the technology and some of the other one-on-one fitness classes that he can offer. So he's seeing light for his business. But Robert is one of these guys that just make me smile when I think about his business surviving the pandemic. Same thing with a good friend of mine, Adrian, at Primetime Boxing Gym. Primetime Boxing Gym was opened by Carrie and Angelo Nunez way back in the late 1990s. I remember, and this was like during the Taibo era, before fitness was a thing and boxing as a fitness option was even a thing. And to see that gym still there, surviving, and Adrian and his wife and his team still there, it's great. And we also have great small businesses like That Guy Eyewear that still come along, even though a car had to wreck through his building. And he has an optometrist in there full time now. Business is humping along. The resiliency of these businesses, they just inspire me. Anyone who goes and talks to some of these people. I know you featured Sofia La Jeresana, who now is offering food. So she's a restaurant now. So her business is growing. Imagine how scared Sophia was when getting ready to move her location to a bigger store, probably bigger rent, probably lots more overhead because of the food element. And then COVID-19 happened. But here she is. She's made it. She's done great for herself and her family, and it's really nice to see them. I don't know if they're out of the woods completely yet, but still pumping along.
They are. You know what? I love that you use the word resilience, because that's what we talk about everyone too. And Sophia and her husband Hector were, we honored them as one of the Salud Business Award recipients, thanks to your nomination. And you're exactly right. They were so positive and so happy, and just, grateful to all the customers that kept coming in, because they had just moved into this larger location and they weren't sure what was going to happen. But now as we start to see, coming out of it, to be able to see them, that they kept going. Yeah. And I heard that from all the businesses, how they were always like, we're just working hard. We're doing this every single day. And we didn't know if anyone was watching us or even would recognize the work that we're doing.
It's hard. It's inspiring. It's tough. It puts me in a tough position because, I've got to visit these places and I have to see how hard they're working. And I can't leave this office any day of the week and not working at least as hard as they are, because there's so much that I can do, or this organization can do, to kind of meet them at least halfway, and like I said, resiliency is key. You've got businesses that are opening up on Del Paso Boulevard. Right now, we've got this huge youth movement going on. We got 5 new businesses open just in one corner, all young artists, graphic designers. We've got a clothing boutique. We got a skateboard shop, a BMX shop. We've got a printing shop, a restaurant. Raul Mejia and them opened up their new gallery on Del Paso Boulevard. So shout out to Daniela and Raul for taking a chance and coming to Del Paso Boulevard.
So what you're telling us is there's a lot of reason for us to come out to Del Paso Boulevard.
Absolutely.
There's a lot to come see and be a part of. And there's, as believe it or not, our time is starting to come to an end, and I want to make sure we get 2 points in. Yeah. And one of them is that through the Sacramento Hispanic Chamber and with you, we are actually looking at, bringing one of our programs out into North Sac area and working with you and your businesses a little more closely. And that's to bring in our Emprende program, which is, business planning and, really delving into what, the foundation that you need for your business. And so that's one of the, programs that we want to go ahead and be doing with you. And you share that you really feel like this is something that would be impactful for your businesses.
Oh, heck yes. Heck, absolutely. Bring it on. Bring all this help and support we can do for our small businesses here. Everything counts.
And so we're excited about that. So you'll see us a lot more up at Promotora and bringing this program out there. And so, it makes sense, Daniel, to me in so many ways that you would be the person advocating and fighting for businesses and, being you, because I know you just never give up. And I feel like part of that is from this other background that, we're going to have to talk about it before we leave here. And that is, your boxing background.
Yeah,
And am I wrong that you were also like part of this championship part,
yeah.
for
No,
your boxing too?
so I was a third generation. I'm a third generation fighter. I was a really good amateur fighter here in Sacramento. I had a brief professional career in the early 2000s, where, for the most part, most of my young life had been dedicated to boxing, to the boxing ring. So competing up and down Northern California, Central California, and doing my best to represent our city, our state, and our country, as a U.S. national fighter here in
Wow.
Sacramento. So yeah, that never goes away. So I'm not easily bullied or pushed to the side. I know how to fight.
That's what I figured, and that's why you're like the perfect person here. And I also want to make sure everyone knows that Daniel has so many accolades, but actually a few years ago now, you were also our Young Professional of the Year here at the Sacramento Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
And I want to let you know that I still hear from people that when you spoke that night and the speech that they gave, and so many people that came up to me and said, so is that going to be our next mayor? Is he going to be running? So, is it a tidbit here? Do you feel like maybe somewhere in your future there might be an elected position that you might be going after?
My mom tells a story that I think she told at one of my campaign events when I ran for school board, that I got on the table and told everyone, "Don't eat the grapes, don't eat the grapes." I got in trouble, and I'd always been passionate and wanted to change. I think, and that's where I'm at. I'm in a good place right now for the partnership, and I can help. And I think that's kind of where my focus is. But I'm always here to serve Sacramento. And if an opportunity ever presented itself for some sort of office where I thought I'd be helpful, then absolutely I would consider that. But now I'm here with the partnership, and there's a lot of work to be done here for this boulevard. Yeah. So
That's great, Daniel. Well, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, giving us a little bit of tidbit about what's happening out in Del Paso Boulevard and the work that you do. We really appreciate it. As everyone's heard me say, the reason I'm passionate about our small businesses is because we're taking care of families. And when I look at you, I know you feel exactly the same way. And so I know the leadership there is strong and that they're in good hands with you. And we're looking forward to continuing our work with you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Cathy. If I can just thank you guys for everything you guys have done throughout the pandemic and connecting this organization and other organizations with all these resources. You guys have been instrumental. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Like I said, it all takes Juntos. That's why it's Juntos with Cathy, because we can't do it if we're not working together. So everyone, thank you who joined us today. We got to talk with Daniel Savala, who is our executive director at the Del Paso Partnership Boulevard. And if you haven't had a chance to go out there, there is a lot of new businesses. There is seasoned businesses that have been out there that are ready for you to come in and frequent them and get to know them a little bit better. So we really encourage you to go out there and support the small businesses. We will be here next Thursday at noon, and we will be meeting another community leader on that day. But for now, everyone, thank you for joining us today. We hope you have a wonderful day.